Hi there, it's Dina at the Realize Foundation, and I'm here today with April, who is one of our Scars to Stars Volume 4 authors. And I can't wait for you to hear her story and her experience. So, welcome, April. You can introduce yourself if you'd like.
Hi, my name's April Patuski. I'm from upstate New York, and I'm really excited to finally be here.
And I'm excited you're here. A little backstory, one of our board members, James and April, have known each other since they were kids, and James has been kind of poking her like, hey, you need to do this for a while. So I'm so glad you're here and you finally have written your story, and I can't wait to dive into how that's been for you and what's coming of it. So you want to tell everybody a little bit about what is your story?
Yeah, definitely a shout out to James. It has been a journey. I definitely wouldn't be here without him, and with you, of course. But just briefly about my story, I am a survivor of childhood sexual abuse by a family member, and then continued trauma, unfortunately, throughout the years of abuse from partners and relationships and things like that. And I talk about how it affected me when I was little, and having to unfortunately keep something like that silent. Um, I was not allowed to tell my family members, I wasn't allowed to tell my friends, I wasn't allowed to tell anybody. I just had to keep it all bottled down. Um, so when I finally said something to my one of my parents, she continued that. And unfortunately, at the time, we weren't able to do much. I've worked through the years to get where I am now, but I did have a point in my life where suicide I thought was an option. And it took me a bit. It took me fighting within myself. It took me staring into my beautiful daughter's eyes and realizing that I need to be here for more than just me. So I sought help, and I'm here now 12 years without any attempt in healthy relationships, healing, um, and I go to therapy every month, more if need be. And I'm really happy to be finally letting people know that breaking the cycle of silence is exactly what you need to do.
Emotional.
Yeah,
No, I'm so excited because I remember the first time I met you, it was probably almost 2 years ago, I think.
I think so. 2 or 3 at
And
this point.
yeah, it's been a while, and when we first met, and I can see such a difference in you from then to today, and I didn't even really know you. And so I'm just so excited for where you are and what you're accomplishing.
Oh, now you're going to get me emotional. Thank you for that. I have to say, 2, 3 years ago, whenever we first met, I don't think I was ready. I think I was still dealing with more than I realized.
Mhm.
And then, unfortunately, losing my grandfather, that I was very close with on my dad's side, who was like my best friend, it kind of
Mhm.
just stuck me down a little bit further. So, done a lot of healing since then. And James reached out and said, "Listen, you got to do this." He's like, "You're an amazing person and you have a story to tell. So, let's tell it." So, thanks for doing it, James. um, but I'm definitely in a better state of mind now. I have a lot of goals to reach, and this was one of them. So, I'm very, very excited. And if it reached one person, just one, to know that they're worth continuing, then I've done
Mhm.
my job. So,
Absolutely.
yeah.
Yeah. Well, I want to get to a little more of your experience
Sure.
of writing and what's come of that.
Yeah.
And we had a group call last night, and you were
Yeah.
talking about it, and I was blown away with what's been happening through
Yeah.
this. And I want you to share that because I think it's so important that people understand that, you know, I say this all the time, but people come to us to write a story thinking I'm going to write my story to help other people, and it always helps other people. But people don't understand the impact it has on them and
Yeah.
their situation and their surrounding people or family or whoever it is that's also involved. And so I'm really excited for you to share more about that.
Of course.
So people get a better understanding of what this
Yeah.
process looks like.
Yeah.
Mhm.
I'm not going to sugarcoat it. It was definitely tough a few times. There were times I had to put the pencil down and walk away. I'm old fashioned, so I did a lot of writing and not a lot of typing. So, but it did. It brought up a lot of things, but it was healing. It was cathartic. It was weightlifting because I'm breaking that silence. I'm making sure that people know that they do not need to be quiet, that there's help out there. And to be honest, I never thought that I was going to get something like that out of this. But it's been really rewarding and really emotional. Sorry, my dog. He's getting a little zoomies right now. My apologies. So in this process, part of my healing was to open up to people, but in a way I didn't really know how.
Mhm.
So I finished my story, and it hasn't, we're going through our editing process and we're doing all of that. And I decided that I wanted to share it with my mother. There's a lot of things that had happened throughout my childhood that, God, sorry. A lot of things that had happened throughout my childhood that a lot of people didn't know. I had a very, very, very deep shield, and I hid a lot of what I was going through. So much so that my mother didn't even know. So when I finished it, I told my mother that I wanted her to read it. I explained to her that it wasn't blaming her and that we weren't not bad mouthing or anything like that, but this was my story and I needed her to read it. Not only for her, but I wanted her to know that I made it through. Sorry, I'm getting emotional. So my mother did read it, and she said it was very beautifully well written. And the first time in 20 plus years, almost 30 at this point, I got an actual genuine "I'm sorry." She's my mom, and I know she loves me. And I know that she, of the time, was very naive. Nor do I know what she had gone through. But she took responsibility for some of that for the first time in a very long time. And that was an experience I never thought I was going to be able to do until now. Sorry. So you got to speak up. You got to tell your story. Because there's a part of my heart that is no longer a whole because I have that from my mother. And I know that my mother and I are going to be able to move forward and create so many more wonderful memories and not look back at this as such a painful event anymore. It's always going to be there, don't get me wrong, but I think it's opened our eyes to realize that there was a lot of people to blame, but it's not me. It wasn't my fault. And that you are enough to keep going and to speak up and advocate for yourself. Doesn't matter who that older person is or who you think or what's going to happen. And there unfortunately are still people in my life that don't know. And I hope to finally answer those questions and to tell them the truth when they're ready. But I know for me, in that letting my mother realize the effect of something like that will help not only me heal, but her heal. My mother has also decided to seek therapy. She never would have done that back then. So I think she's been going for a couple of years now, and she's trying to heal her traumas, and I think that's wonderful. But it's been an experience I don't think I could put actual words or feelings to, but it's something that I hope someone could get something out of it and know that it does get better eventually. It does get a little easier. As time goes on, you can find those people that you can heal from. And I don't think I would have ever been able to do that without the Realize Foundation.
Well, I am so grateful that you're part of this book, and I'm also grateful for your feedback and your
amazing.
honesty to let others know about this experience, because sometimes it's hard for sometimes it's it's hard to write your story and be in the group and talk vulnerably, but then it's also hard to talk to the public about what we're doing because it is so personal. And so I really applaud your efforts in spreading the word about how this can help people, because everybody in the world has something in their soul that either makes them feel like they're not worthy or they're not enough or they don't matter. Even confident, successful people still have something of that in them. And everyone needs to know that they're worth it and that they matter. And that's what all of this is about. It's like all of us have struggles, all of us have negative things in our life, and some much more horrific than others.
Mm-hmm.
But um, it all is a human condition in a way that nobody's perfect. Nobody has everything figured out and everything going perfectly right in their life. And so if we don't get to a place in our society that we can have these hard conversations and understand that what we all have in common is something we have to talk about in order to heal it, then we're just going to keep going down this road of suicidal ideation and feeling like nobody cares.
Exactly. Yeah, there's nothing more that that I think anybody can realize more than another. I mean, the best way to explain it is just never judge. I know this is so stereotypical, but never judge a book by its cover. I mean, it took me a year to open up to my therapist before I told her what actually happened, and she had not a clue. I will never forget her face when I told her. I mean, her jaw just dropped. She's like, wait, what? Like, I had developed such a way to cover that up that no one had a clue. Not a single person. Because that's what I was taught. So you never know what somebody's going through. You never know what their story is. You got to give people chances in order to really understand. Even if you're just there to have an ear. You don't even need to give your opinion. Just listen. You know what I mean? They're worth listening to. Because you never know, that one chance could just help save somebody else. So I think that's the biggest thing I've gotten out of this is the fact that suicide is there no matter what we do, but there's so many avenues to prevent it. And I really want people to know that. I really want people to, when you're at your lowest, Just reach out and somebody will help.
Yeah, I think it's that part of what we have on our website is just 4 short free videos called the Hope Course.
Mhm.
And it really is about, how do we talk about suicide? How do we start that conversation? And I think it's really important what you said is that not only do you want to ask people how they're doing or talk to them about it, but you want to be quiet and listen and let them talk, because otherwise it doesn't work. But also, like, learning about self-care and learning how to protect your mind and surrounding yourself with the right people. And also, gratitude practices is a huge thing for me. And I know a lot of people who have struggles. It's like if you can focus on gratitude or positive things sometimes to get you out of that place, it really does work. And so that's kind of why we started that process on our website. And I think the biggest question people ask me is, like, how do you even ask somebody, if they're suicidal? How do you even have that conversation? And it's like, well, you just have it because, after 23 years of hiding my attempt, I came out publicly as a business owner with my story. And I thought I was going to lose employees and clients. And, I thought that was going to be the end of my career. And it was just the opposite. It was such an outpouring of support and it was during 2020, but it was, people saying we really need to talk about this. And so if we can be the instigators of talking about it, that's what the world needs, because otherwise we can't fix the problem.
Yeah, exactly. Sometimes you just have to take that step. Even if you're not sure how to start it, being there and just say, hey, I'm going to listen because you're worth listening to. But you never know. It's just a simple comment that they could open right up to you. So I think a lot of people have to remember that. I don't even know how to put it into words. People just have to remember that they're worth moving forward. You said earlier too about recognizing whether or not you're enough. And sorry. I struggle with that sentence for a really long time. I was told I wasn't enough on a regular basis.
Mm-hmm.
So
Yeah, I think it's even sometimes people might verbalize that, like you're saying, maybe they told you that, but I think there's also so many other ways humans make other humans feel like they're not enough without even saying anything. And it's it's the lack of kindness in the world. And I talk about that a lot, is like, you never know what the person next to you on the bus or wherever you are is going through. And even saying hello to them could like change their whole day.
Yep. I think it's one thing I've instilled in my daughter too. Like, a smile goes a long way. Just, hi, how are you? Letting people know that you see them.
Mm-hmm.
Being seen is a big deal. Being heard, being noticed
Mm-hmm.
is a huge difference in life. I think a lot of it that I hold on to is that because I didn't really get to be a kid, because that little kid wasn't seen, wasn't heard, wasn't understood. And now people need to know that just that little bit makes a huge difference. Like I said, you don't have to save the world, but if you can be there for at least one person, then you're doing something. Kindness goes a long way. And if you need something like the Realize Foundation to help you with that, we're all ears. Like, I want people to come to me. I want people to ask questions. In a million years, I never thought I would be ready for that. But I can say that I am now, because I know that somebody's going through this right now and they feel like there's no light at the end of the tunnel. but there is. It may be minuscule, but it's there. And we're here to help you get there. And like I said, it's something that we all live with, and it never goes away. It builds our character, it builds who we are. But it's just something that I think everybody needs to know, that your story is worth telling, you are worth being here. You need help, we're here.
Thank you so much for sharing that.
Yeah.
So I want to tell everybody where they can find you. So if I'm going to put April's Instagram handle up here if you guys want to connect with her. And then the book will be coming out in September of 2024. You'll get to read her chapter. It'll be on Kindle and Amazon. And we'll have a book launch event on September 22nd. You're probably listening to this after that, unless you're looking at our YouTube channel. But hope you can join us for our book launch event and meet all the authors. And it's just a really wonderful 90 minutes that we all get to spend together every year when the book comes out. And it's kind of magical for me. And it's just a bonding experience for people who are there. And you kind of get a sense of what we all went through, writing this book and having a project. And so I can't wait to hear from more people. And if you want to look at our website, it's therealizefoundation.org. So thank you for being here, April. I'll let you have the floor if you have any last words.
Just thank you for having me. Thank you for sharing this opportunity. I'm really excited for the launch. And I really hope I get to see a lot of people there. And please feel free to reach out. And if there's just something you need, I'd be happy to help.
Thank you.
Thank you.